This conference will now be recorded.
And then we just push here.
Push, yep. Until it's
Look at
not,
you.
until it's green.
All right, so we're calling to order.
We'll just unmute you.
The first thing is to approve the agenda, but I would like to add under new business, combined charities. I have a report from them that involves the park board. Any other additions? Okay, all in favor to approve? Oh, motion, sorry, gotta have a motion. Second, okay.
No, agenda.
Agenda, that's what I meant.
God. It's gonna be a long meeting. So we have a motion to approve the agenda. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Minutes from August 7th, 2023. Let's take a look at them. Miranda, nothing. I just have a question. So when we're going through the agenda minutes, then it gets into all of these account numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the
That's just the budget as it was presented to you at that
meeting.
meeting.
Okay,
So it may or may not have changed for this one. So that doesn't mean that it's approved or it can still change.
sorry. Any corrections, additions?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 7th.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment.
Accounts payable. Accounts payable.
Oh yeah, let's do a count table. Thank you. I was told to get us out of here quick. Okay, accounts payable.
So this is the last of the bathroom supplies. Do we know where we're at with that? It seems like every month there's another 7,000 something. I mean, how much?
That's my issue.
I was just
With
wondering
the
how much
entire thing.
bathrooms have cost us.
Right, oh, you have that if you have to pull up this sheet.
I hope it's the
Is that
last.
a really, really fine print that I can't read? That you-
I don't know if I gave you this one, otherwise I can quick go run copies for you. Did you guys get a sheet with kind of some summary stuff? Otherwise I can quick run those for you.
I hope it's the last. I think included in that Gherkin's invoice was some of the silicone.
Why don't I run these?
used
I'll
to
just run
seal it
these.
off.
Let me
No,
quick
that's
run these
swim-
for you, okay?
And I think the silicone was the last thing we had purchased, and I think that was in the last Gherkin's bill, so I
I'll be
hope.
right back.
When Fred gets here, we could probably ask him.
So when these, do we have like an itemized list of what all of these supplies are that are costing us $7,000?
Yes, on the invoices, it's all listed.
And someone's looking at that to make sure it's,
That's what Fred signed.
okay,
And of course, Brian and Mike look them over too.
okay.
Otherwise, I think everything else is pretty standard. The Wanamingo Firefighters Relief Association, Wreck-It from Wanamingo used the shelter this summer. And they paid with a credit card. And so rather than us giving them a refund check, because businesses have, not all of them have the capability of cashing checks. So they wanted us to just donate that money to their fire relief association. So that's why that check was written out to them. Oh, and then we have the private lesson refund in there too. She got charged $30 per half hour instead of $15 per half hour, I think is what it was. So she got overcharged a little bit, so. Yeah, so we. Yeah, so I'm glad.
Hope it was good.
Yeah. They passed.
Do we have a soda machine somewhere?
Yeah, right outside the pool. And we got those invoices from Pepsi really late, so most, I think that one was from like July. That was not a recent one.
Do we have the offset cost of how much money the pop machine made us?
I could get that. Yeah, because we have a line item for that. I'll see if I might even be able to access it from this room with our new software.
Right.
You sound excited about software.
Yeah, I was very excited because it was not accessible. We were not docked before, so.
Do we need to see that breakdown of the 7,000 before we approve?
I don't think so. I was just curious. It seems like every month there's a substantial amount there. Like that's a very expensive bathroom, and I thought the original one was.
I know Kim has the whole amount of the bathroom
Yep.
figured out,
Gotcha.
so she
I
probably
remember
could even.
several months back when we were budgeting, it was only like at 22,000 or something, but it seems like
I
every
I feel
month
like it
there's
has
another-
not, yeah.
It's a lot.
I feel like we've exceeded that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Okay.
I think it's in the 50s.
Griffins their money.
Yeah, I think it's in the 50s.
Yeah.
You'll have to confirm that with Kim though. She did have those numbers. I remember her saying something about it last week.
Well, I will need to have a motion for this then to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, now public comment.
He's on the agenda, but we could do Kim first.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So he is here for 8C, the relocation of the school signs.
Okay.
And so one of the photos is included in your packet as well as an email. I can't remember if it was from the superintendent or the athletic director that kind of summarizes it, but this new photo is a second additional sign. So I can let him talk about it. I'll quit talking.
All right, I'm gonna pass these around.
Oh, he's gonna go first.
Okay, good,
He'll be
good,
good.
good. And I'll do this while I'm thinking. Thank you. I'm just gonna go over to the other corner and hide from you.
So Mr. Barnick asked me to come down today and kind of explain to you guys what he was looking to do with, so there's two signs at the 18th Street location, the roundabout right there. And so he would like one of those signs posted. It would be on the north end of town, right where Pearl Street comes out onto Highway 58 or Main Street. He said he contacted MnDOT and the suggestion was to place that sign. Hope you guys have that copy run off right there. Place that sign right there. Be very conspicuous as people come into the town. So that was the first location. And then the second location, I believe, is what's already covered in the email there, where you would just basically readjust how the sign is situated there right now so that it was a little bit easier to see.
I think the current sign is where the shadow is, kind of in the middle there. That's where it currently is.
Yep, and I'm just looking through his emails here to see if he actually laid out how he wanted that repositioned there. Kind of larger than I thought what it looks like.
Yeah, ours has a red, our copy that we have has a red circle on it. I can show it, that shows where he wanted it.
Oh, perfect. Yep, that's what I was
Is that
looking
our
for.
property
That's
where that red
exactly-
circle is?
Yes, perfect. So with the picture that I brought and then with the picture that you guys have right there, I think that is
Sums it
what they
up.
were looking for. Mr. Brown, the athletic director, and Mr. Barnick, the superintendent, were looking to accomplish.
Okay, I have to plead ignorance here. What is this a sign for?
The state championship sign that sits there.
Oh, sure,
Shows all
okay.
the championships from the
Yep.
different years and the different athletic groups.
Okay.
The only negative side to moving it all the way out to the softball field, in my opinion, is the X that marks the spot right there, right? If you were to drive across Main Street, coming from Pearl Street and run right into the softball fence, that is the spot that we use all the time for like the National Night Out banner and all the stuff that goes right on there. So that really is prime real estate for a banner or a future potential billboard if you want a city billboard or something right there. When we did the banner fundraiser for the dugouts years ago, that was the spot that everybody sought after and was gonna pay top dollar for, to have that first 10 feet worth of it. As you're sitting at the stop sign leaving the pool or the fairground or whatever, like that's the sign that you see right there. So that would, if once that permanent sign goes in there, you would no longer have access to the baseball fence for any advertisement there.
Do you know if it moved north or south at all? You know, a little bit, like not like,
I would assume so, but I guess I wasn't given.
Yep.
Given any guidance beyond just what was in the picture there.
Because you would think if we would move it, you know, where the sidewalk crosses, or that straight line crosses the arc,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's all that space there, would that work there?
Like dead center field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like right in here?
Be right there.
would that take away from the batters?
are you talking, that you said sidewalk, are you talking towards the memorial?
No, away from the memorial towards the
The DOT line
entrance.
that crosses the outfield fence right there,
Yep.
is that what you're talking?
Yeah.
Yep. So if you were to leave home plate and go right through the city of Zumbrota sign and right where that crosses right there, if it was out there. Again, as long as the city never intends to do the banner thing on the outside of the fence again, because once you put anything there, all the advertisement spots that you have there go away from a permanent sign being there. I still think that is probably the biggest amount of money we leave on the table. We made $4,000 in one summer just doing banners, but that would be something that the park board would have to reconsider doing again if they decide they want more money. I do see that sign a lot, and I even reached out to athletic director Tony Brown and Mark Moran and stuff after Zumbrota had won the golf championship, state championship last year, and asked them how come they don't have that done yet. Put the golf one on there. So I do see that a lot, and where it's currently at, you can see it when you're coming off the street that leaves Speedway, Dairy Queen, Subway, that there. You can also see it when you leave Quick Trip. You can see it when you're exiting 52 or coming in, going around the roundabout. But to his point, when you're coming on Main Street, you can't see it as much because you're leaving the circle and you're heading kind of north rather than going around the circle to the south. So if they want to split it and put one facing both directions, that seems like the least intrusive and the easiest move, to literally just put up 2 more posts and take half the sign and just move it to the north end of that same little park. We don't really have any plans for that future park. It's kind of a weird area with the DOT and the roundabout, Quick Trip, and
You talking the one by the car dealership?
by the end of
There's
Route
been some
58
interest
there,
in some,
business
not making it a
potential.
non-park thing.
Right.
That's something you might want to entertain at some point if you had a project that you specifically wanted, because it is kind of a weird spit of land.
Yep.
It's not really one that at this point you want to go and like hang out and have a picnic at.
So you're suggesting just 2 signs there rather than out at the softball field?
Correct. He said option 1 was to move half of the sign and put it out here so they get advertisement at the south end of town and the north end of town. And option 2, if I'm hearing it correctly, would be to break the sign in half and leave one half somewhere where it can be seen from the south facing traffic, and then put another one that kind of faces as they're coming down and leaving town. As they pass like Zumbrota Ford, they can look to the left and kind of see it there. So you can see it from Main Street.
I mean, we do get a lot of traffic coming from this direction too, though. That maybe doesn't make it all the way through town.
We also have another area way out on the corner that you can barely see the little white on this copy here. That corner right up here where you're leaving East Street and entering Main Street. That's where the original sponsors for that covered bridge softball field park are, right there. There's already a sign right there. It could go adjacent to that sign real easily.
And then that would
And
still
would not
afford
take
us
away
the,
from any future banners that you have on the fence. But I'm not sure if that white DOT line that they have etched in there, why they allowed that one sign out there, and if they would allow another one to go right next to it. That would be the only consideration. If that is setback, if that's what that white line means for the DOT.
Could you move it closer to the Veterans Memorial, closer to that sidewalk? Because there's like a break in that area where the trees are. Because that way, people that come off 6 are still able to see it.
Correct.
On the right away.
Hmm?
We'll get on the right away.
You
know how
that
they are.
line.
side of the white line though then, right? Is that what I'm reading? If you're saying that's the,
Pine thread on that white line, yep, between the two larger trees.
that one tree looks dead.
I don't know what season. I get all the trees kind of looked at. It must have
Yeah,
been right in
it's
the spring.
Spring.
It is a bummer we can't put it over here. Is this the spot you guys wanted it or over here? Was that, which spot was? I suppose you're just the messenger.
I am
That's
just the
right,
messenger.
that's
Yep.
right.
I don't want to overstep my authority here.
And I know they wanted it on this side, but MinDOT said
Yeah,
no.
that
I can't
sounds
remember.
correct, but I don't want to say for sure.
Or if the school wants to put up a scoreboard out there at the thing, they can have the whole back of it to advertise on.
Once again,
Throwing that out there.
That sounds like a booster club. fund.
Send Tony to the next
Right.
meeting.
I know there's a little bit of money in the softball and baseball booster club.
I think that tree's a maple, so if it was an ash, it'd be dead soon.
It's gonna live.
It's down now.
So I think what we're hearing is that we really don't want it on that part of the arc, but if we could live with it here
Further north or south. Yep.
or south,
would you like me to take that back to Mr. Barnick then?
yeah,
I can do that.
yeah, that'd be great.
And then the position, oh, I'm sorry.
The other site, do we have any feedback on that?
I don't have any reservation anywhere in that. I think
No.
That's just whoever's got to mow it has one more thing to mow around. But I
Yep.
would think that where they have a sketch in red would be a fantastic idea as well. Like if they wanted to turn the one that's kind of there to face a stop sign or quick trip or something, they could relocate 2 different locations inside that park without intruding on anything that gets used out there.
And I don't know, where is our line there? Is our line in the middle of that parking lot?
I think that white line is our.
And we've got, there's a lot of stuff,
That gravel is kind of stuck over the property line.
Oh, they're aware of that.
because I don't know, we could get a sign in there right now around all of
If
the,
you want a sign there, then
They have to move
they
their
have to
stuff.
move their things.
Yeah,
You cannot
they have
adversely
stuff there.
possess public land.
Yeah.
So even if they're on public land, they have to move it if you request it.
Just last we've had to mow, so our mowing fees have been down over the years.
I don't think the sheds go past the gravel, but I could be wrong, so.
They're right on the gravel, on the line, pretty much.
But if
Unless
we
he's
need- but if
adding
we
more
need them to
gravel.
move our shed or two for the sign.
They can move a shed or two.
so take that back and then we're waiting to hear from you again.
Okay, I will tell Mr. Barnick.
All right.
Oh, Brian.
Absolutely. I will do that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
so much.
Take care.
Yep.
I am sorry I didn't get this to you beforehand. I thought I did. I had it done. So these are all just packed for, this is the budget. So that's just the,
I think I have it in the packet.
well, I don't know. I just printed it out again because we love paper.
Okay.
If only we could use the ash for this. It's all one. It's all one piece.
It's all one. Send that down to him and stop it. I'll keep this one.
Screwing it
She
all up.
correlated it all
I
already.
correlated it all because I missed the correlate button on the copier. Come on, people.
You're amazing, Kim.
All right, now this is its own page.
Okay, this is its own page.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right, I got something.
So,
It's really doing really well with this meeting
I think
tonight.
if you
We're-
take the whole thing, I think this is all one big copy, this is one big copy, this is, I think it's all collated in
All right,
sections.
this is.
okay.
I think the same thing is already in here.
I think this
We already got the same thing, it's just multiple copies.
That's why I was asking where we were at with the bathrooms. This is what I have for the correlation of costs so far, Troy, if you look at that page with just kind of a list of, I kind of went back to June of 2021 with the bathroom and ran the costs. That's all right. You're messing me so many papers, I don't remember which ones I
Kim
took.
started it, Kim started it.
And the budget does need to be approved this meeting, so
Yeah.
make sure to ask all your questions and
Yes.
you can go from there.
So I'm gonna, can I give my little song and dance
Absolutely.
beforehand? Okay, so if you look at your budget right now, you'll see that I have, if you look at this, it's got the bold numbers are what was budgeted, the lighter numbers are what was expended, or what was actually came in or was expended. If you look at the 2024 budget, the first thing you're gonna look at is on the 225 fund. Well, let me explain a little bit about the funds. I consider 225, I was trying to think of how to put it, because I work in it a certain way, and sometimes I get a little dense because I work in it and I'm used to it. So I would think of 225 as my checking account. It's my checking account. So I know what's coming in, what I got for household expenses. I think of the whole 225 fund as the household expenses account. And I think of the 226 fund as my savings fund, saving up for bigger stuff, I'm doing whatever. So I went through it and I looked at it. And so in your 225 fund, if the first line is current taxes, that is actually what you, on the levy that goes out to the taxpayers every year, that is what you get. I know you guys were stuck for a long time, look at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Finally, last year in 23, you got a bump because we were looking at increasing staffing. And this year you got a slight bump with the current taxes that we're proposing. Last budget you saw, I took out the delinquent taxes and the manufacturer's home taxes because they may or may not come in. They're kind of a moot point, but I put them back the way they were because sometimes it's a comfort level. The next thing we got is park shelter fees. We have the park shelter rented all summer. The current rental is $125 per day, and we require a $125 damage deposit. The amenity is very popular. We raised the fee in 2023 because of the addition of the bathroom and the water. We only have a few ways to raise money if we want to increase things. If we don't get tax dollars, we can raise fees and use services. So if that's something you would ever consider or entertain in the future, we need to know just a little bit in advance your intentions. We tell people, well, you should rent it before they change the fees in the year. We will rent 1 year in advance. We will not rent any sooner than that. So people have to call and tell us. And it's booked. I think we were booked pretty heavy this summer.
Yeah.
Didn't we just increase that too?
We increased it 25 last year. So, I mean, this is just something to put back in your head and just think about. Fees, we actually set, so we can set a budget right now with the fees we project, but we could actually the fees get set in January. The council approves the fees. So if you would decide to make a fee change, we could change that fee schedule there. With the tax levy, we can always, we have to, what we send to the county in September has to be the max we can go. We can always back off and make it less, the levy less, or if you decide that you're going to raise your fees, we could increase that line item within your budget and you could adjust some things within that. The next one are the camping fees, and we've had a really interesting discussion, Miranda and I did with Don down at the campground. We did a little calling around just to see what campgrounds were charging. We were not looking at campgrounds with huge amenities, but we do have amenities in our park. We have a nice park, we've got a trail system, we do have a pool adjacent. And when I said to Donnie, I think we should consider raising the camping fees. He was like, no. And then we called around and we are, what did we find? $15 to $20 cheaper than anything comparable. Again, another area you might want to consider. Miranda and I are going to try and do some analysis on the cost of water and electricity. Those campers out there, when we do have campers, we do use a lot of electricity and really pop that rate up. We've had this year you're finally monitoring your water and we've never done that. I don't know why, just never have. Which is great because we've been actually able to find some leaks within the system that we fixed. That's good. Parkland dedication, if we get a subdivision, they have, by ordinance, they have to pay or donate certain amounts of land to the park. Interest earnings, it's going to fluctuate. They're going to be better than that, I think, this year, actually. Contributions, donations is kind of a placeholder, same with refunds, reimbursements. If you see planned use of fund balance, that means like, we know we're going to spend more than what we're taking in this year, so we're going to pull it out of our balance. And you can do that. You've been doing that this year and the previous year for your projects, for some of your projects. Now, if we go into the expenditures in the park fund, you're going to see a few changes. Last year, we added the part-time summer help. I'm moving the part-time guys over there. That doesn't mean the street guy that's been doing your stuff is going to go anywhere. He's just not being expended out of your account. He's just going someplace else. And then I just added the Social Security and the Medicare. So actually, we have not fully been utilizing our part-time street budget. So we're going to probably try a little bit more to get help there. We haven't had as much help as we would like. It's a little bit hard getting help. You know, it's all pay grade stuff when you want to pay $15 an hour and kids can make more. Or, you know, there's always that equity thing about we'll pay $15 an hour for someone to sit on the mower, but we pay $12 an hour for somebody to sit in a lifeguard chair. And who has more training and more responsibility. So and that comes in some gender equity things as well. Liability auto insurance, that fluctuates depending on what we're getting rated. We haven't had as many claims, so I anticipate we're going to come down a little bit this year. Contingencies, of course, just odd things that come up. We'll go right to your transfers out. That includes your $10,000 that you've been putting aside for Kids Kingdom. You've been moving that into your 226 fund for the last, I think, 8 years. So you've got $80,000 that you put in there. And I haven't done this year's. So there'd be a $90,000 in there. Originally, when you guys started doing that, it was for Kids Kingdom because you thought it was going to need to be replaced in X amount of years. You have the ability to decide what and when you're going to replace that. So you could use those monies as you see fit further on, but that's beside the point. $7,002 goes to equipment. Now that we are hiring in the mowing, we've got to buy more mowers. So we're going to be replacing the mowers. We've got, I think, three. And so somebody rotates out every year. We're buying a mower every year. The old ones go in, the new ones coming in, we trade them in. So you have to participate in that because you guys are using the mowers. Planned increase in fund balance. That's just a balancing agent. I think we're going to spend less than what we're going to take in.
We transfer out the $7,000 you're talking about for lawnmower maintenance and things like that.
Lawnmowers. Yep.
That doesn't go underneath maintenance and improvements?
Nope, that's a
above?
capital equipment. That's going to go out to help purchase a mower. That's not for spark plugs.
So that's not for maintenance.
It's out a refund. It's a transfer out. It's an under financing use. So you're going to move it from this fund
Yep.
to 400.
So the transfer is for acquiring the capital expense. The maintenance fund is for actually maintaining it.
Absolutely.
Yep, okay,
Maintaining.
perfect.
Yep, and you have two kind of different ones. Goodness, I lost my page. Operating supplies and expenses. I got ahead of myself. So you've got an operating supplies and expenses. You've got a maintenance and repair, and you've got a maintenance and improvements, which it's always been that way. We can change those names if we want to. Maintenance and repairs, spark plugs, board broken, Kids Kingdom, things like that. The maintenance improvements I would put as more, you're changing something. You're bringing something new in. You're tearing something down, putting something all the way new up. That's kind of how I would view it. Dues, and I kept that one. That one stayed about the same. Our model that we're using, the city worked with a consultant to work out ways so that we can plan future expenditures and keep our tax levies consistent instead of having them go up high one year and then low and then high and then low. That's a shock for everybody. So if we can keep our stuff growing, and sometimes if a levy increases by 6%, that doesn't mean your personal home taxes are going to increase by 6%. It depends on how much property value comes on for new builds. So if we have a city that's growing, like last year, we had a really good growth year. It kept the taxes from spiking really high on houses because everybody's houses values went up tremendously last year. Let's see where I lost my train of thought here, guys. Sorry. So plan an increase in fund balance that's something I was talking with Fred about. The library has a really good method of it because one of the things I know you guys were concerned about was that department services line item. And I think that is on
the second page. halfway down.
Thank you, Mary. It's on the second page. That's what we paid for the mowing with. And so you don't mow anymore because we've got a mowing person. And because we all come out of the tax levy, those monies can circulate. You don't get, if you have an expense that goes away, you don't get to keep the expense or increase your budget by that specific amount. You still didn't lose any levy money. Your budget didn't go down. I took that money and that expense and reallocated it a couple different ways. I gave you a little bit more money in, golly, my brain is just, I gave you more money in maintenance and repairs. I gave you a $6,000 bump in maintenance and repairs. Kids Kingdom's aging. We want to keep up on that. There might be some painting, something else you want to do. I think there's been some talk about doing something with the old bathroom building. I mean, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with all of that or how they're going to do that. I also kept $10,000 in department services specifically for ash tree removal. We're getting hit really hard. We're trying to save. I think I've got $25,000 or $27,000 coming in the general fund to move ash trees within the city. And I also we have a very aging canopy within the city as well. And I'm trying to get so that we have money to remove and replace. I think the next year or two, it's going to be a lot of remove. And then I'm hoping that after that, we can begin the replacing. And I know you guys are talking, I know about nurseries and what you can do to get the place reforested because we all know it's going to be pretty devastating. We've got a couple ideas for some fundraising too. We just were talking about it, and you guys have as well, about especially the Park Road, doing something like memory drive, where you have trees in memorial. And we could do that on the flip side of this, the park sign that's enclosed. So we could actually put a registry of who donated a tree, which tree is in memoriam to someone or in honor of someone. So that's an option. So maybe we can spend some of those dollars if we have residents or families that would like to donate trees in honor of a loved one. We can maybe bump those reforestation things out a little quicker and maybe get more trees. We can always have more trees, right, than what we have right now. I like that idea. All right, so one of the things I talked about with that the library does that I think is really interesting for something you may want to consider is if you spend less than you take in. Right now, if you spend less than you take in Fund 225, that money sits there in your checking account, which is okay because some years you're going to spend more than you budgeted and some years you're going to spend under. But if you would like, after the first of the year, when we know all our expenses have come through for the prior year, you could actually say, hey, you know what? We spent $10,000 on less than what we thought. We got $10,000 extra dollars we can move into restricted. You can actually make a motion to move that in and thereby increasing that balance on you. You never lose your money if you don't spend it. It stays with the park fund unless we make a motion which you would have to approve that says, hey, you know what? We want to give $20,000 to the street department to do something. I don't know why you would, but you could do that if you so chose. And that's the only way we can take money from you. You guys have your own ability to keep your money. So that's a good thing. In the 226 fund, that's the restricted fund. And that's a fund where the park holds the money for projects. The balance as of 8/29 was $228,852.62. $80,000 was transferred for Kids Kingdom, or it was potentially earmarked for Kids Kingdom. $72,000 of this money is from parkland dedication fees. And also for some of the sale of parkland when they did the roundabout. There's some of that money in there as well. And that's, again, what I said is if you find that you're spending less than what you're levying or what you're getting in, because you might have a great year and get a ton more camping fees, you could actually take some of that money and put it in park restricted. In all your funds, you got to keep 6 months of expenditures, 6 months worth of money that you need, because we're always lagging behind because of taxes. And taxes come twice a year. So you're always 6 months behind, May and October. So you always have to keep 6 months in, and I try really hard to keep that reserve balance where it should, or I gold, which, I'm like, I don't know where that money's gonna go. We gotta keep that money. So, and then we go to the swimming pool. Swimming pool, the levy, I kept flat. And one of the reasons is because we don't exactly know where the pool is going right now. I did look at the expenditures, and if you look at the seasonal employee, we are consistently far under budget on there. That's on the second page, and we went from 70,000 this year to 67,181. I dropped it slightly, just to keep the tax levy straight on that one. I think, as we know, when we're going forth into looking at replacing the pool, there'll definitely be changes in all of that. But I think for right now, if we keep that steady, we're still not going to be, I don't believe even if we raise wages, we would be overspending. I just did the last payroll today, and maybe we would add an extra $4,500 onto that, right around there. So we're definitely not overspending that line item. So for next year, I just kept it steady in the anticipation that we're going to have some changes with the pool. I did increase maintenance and repairs, and we all know getting old, things break. We want to keep that old Betty running, I suppose, as long as we can, till we can get that new one in, or, without doing, major things that we can't take with us if we have a new pool. So I did add $10,000 to the maintenance budget. And the restricted is just money. There's not much in there. That's just money that people maybe give. Sometimes Tricia from our CERT will give money in there. We'll put it in there, or we've had a couple donations from there. I think there's only like $25,000 or $3,000 in there right now. Oh, I have it on the back. Yeah, that one has 2873. If you look at your weird little sheet right here with the teeny tiny print that makes me glasses, that's each one of your funds and the balance that's in the bottom. Your balances are held in cash, money market, and CDs. So that's where all your funds are. We're limited as to what we can invest in as a city, which is good. So if we look at that one and this little fun factoid here, we have your park planning. That is just a random sheet that we've been kind of messing with. Doesn't mean it's got to be that way. We were just putting in some placeholders for it. I have what we estimated for 223 estimated costs, what we spent. I kind of had to go backwards a little bit. What we spent in 2022, what we've spent year to date for these projects in 2023, and what I estimated was remaining, which, believe me, I didn't know. And so I just used a placeholder for it. Then I went in and said what we had, what our cash balance was, and kind of did a little very informal cash flow with it. You can see that in 2026, if we go ahead with $170,000, and I did inflate it at 5%, it would, in 2024, the $170,000 park camping ground expansion would be a 178.5. And you can see that if we went ahead and did that, we are going to go into a negative cash flow in 2026 in our restricted. That's if we don't get any grants. So if we get a grant, we'd probably be 80-20 or was it a 50-50, Miranda, do you remember? I think it was a 50-50, I think. So that would, the campground expansion.
Oh.
Yeah, the pool, I'm not worried about the pool. That's going to be bonded for. That's just a rough number I got that Brian was talking about. Fundraising, I don't know, because that's a whole nother animal that we were talking about. But the pool's kind of the unknown at this point. So that's that. So that's kind of what I cash flowed out. That can be better or worse depending on how costs come in. The dugouts were kind of my unknown, Troy, because I know what we've got for materials, but I wasn't sure where we were at and what was remaining, what was our anticipated. And I can make changes to that if I get some guesstimate numbers. It's pretty fluid worksheet. You just drop stuff in and go. And then this last little sheet is just, I looked at some of the projects we've been doing, the bathroom, disc golf, the dugouts, and then the skateboard park repairs. And the skateboard park repairs, actually I have, I think, $4,800 coming into the park fund requested from the council for the money that Jim Para had set aside. That has not been moved into the park fund yet. They have to release those funds because that money is in the under their jurisdiction. They'll do it. It was raised for that purpose. So that will be coming over after council meeting if they so approve. Right, Kevin?
I expect so.
Yeah, that's what it's been for. It's just housed there so it stays from getting commingled with other funds. I don't know exactly where the bathrooms are as far as what needs to be done yet. That's always, that's where I get on my little soapbox and say, I don't know where things are at. And everybody's like, because I
think
don't.
everything is
We
purchased.
think
but-
everything is purchased, but we have a few things come in and I'm like, oh shoot, where did that come from? So, but it looks great and everybody's really impressed with it. So that's kind of my spiel for the budget. I can answer, there's nothing really magical about it. You guys can move things around as you see fit and projects as you see fit. One of your projects that is coming up is where'd it go? Park Road. And we're looking at that in 2026. I know Brian and I have been talking a little bit about we did not get the grant, and one of the things that they were talking about with the grant was the trails and requesting some expansion with trails for the Gaga Ball pit and the bathroom. There's some ADA compliance issues with that. And I think Fred had all that, and of course, he's not here right now. But that actually, if we did that this year, that would come out of the general fund, not out of the park fund. But one of the things that the grant writer or the grant people have said is that they would like to see the trails and the trailhead all under park. And right now it isn't, and I don't know why. It just has never been that way. There's always been a separate line item in the general fund under for the covered bridge maintenance and the trail maintenance. And so the new trails that have went, or the redone trails, that all came out of the general fund. That can come out of park fund money. But in the future, it could change that the trails would fall under the park fund. And that would be the trails all over the city, I would anticipate, not just one. It would be like a park fund. If that would happen, we'd probably establish a separate fund where just the trail money would sit there because we'd have to build up balances for expansions and repair and replacement. So, but that's something, if we do that, I guess that makes us more attractive to the DNR grant proposal. So there'd be just a shifting, you'd see a little bit more shifting, like the trailhead would come into the park budget and be expended under there for their electric and water and sewer. So.
Speaking of the trail, quite a few people have asked, what was the reason behind only doing some of the trail? And
At the back part?
well, literally from the opposite side of the covered bridge.
They'll be doing that. They couldn't get it all done before the festival because of constraints they had. So they will be doing, isn't that right, Miranda? They're going to be doing back from app, and they didn't want to do it. The time they had available was during the festival. So we opted to not do it. And
I
of
think
course,
I think the reason that they started it when they did was because they got freed up on a project they were already working on. I think they started earlier than they even thought they were going to be able to.
Is it the same one that's doing the Jefferson?
I
Can't remember if it's
100%
Aslan
sure.
Sims or not.
I don't.
And then, of course, the rear of the park, we're not going to fix anything until we figure out what's going on with the trestle, because that would get pounded with the repairs to the trestle. So I know they spoke with CETA today about grants, and that was one of the grant topics they discussed. I don't know how that conversation went. I wasn't in it. That's a big one for back irons, and a very big expense. And if it came under park board, we would fund it through the park board. It wouldn't be something that we take out of your existing funds. The funds you have right now, that's the projects that you have laid out for those. We're not gonna, you'd have to approve it. You can't just do it. That's kind of the way you're set up. So, but long story short, you did not get less funding. You got a little bit more. We just reconfigured some expenses. I think if you have a really good long-range plan, like say there's something you really want to do and it's a spendy or something new, if you can figure out a 5-year plan and present to the council why you want additional money. So we want to build this and it's going to cost this much and this is why we want to build it. I think that you can definitely make your point, and that's when they will probably look at increasing your funding within that so you can build those reserves up to do that. It's very hard for, they're not in, when I look, our levy is about $2.4 million, $2.5 million. So that means every $25,000 is a 1% levy increase. So sometimes it doesn't seem like a lot, but remember, everybody's increasing and we're figuring a 3% increase overall. And it does get to be you're competing. Rain, look at that. What is it? Yeah, what time was it supposed to start?
So these numbers here that are
Mhm.
underneath the 24
Yes,
budget are what we need.
that's what I'm proposing. That's what you're proposing for you to approve. Yep. And again, if I always ask me, sometimes, like I said, I'm dense. Sometimes I work in it all the time. I think in it one way. Definitely. So I sat with the EDA and said the same thing. I just think about it this way, and I apologize if it doesn't come clear because I just think of it that way.
So parkland dedication, all the way back to 2018 shows 0 for parkland.
Because we haven't had any parkland dedication since 2018.
Nobody has.
Not any big subdivisions have come in. When I believe it was, and they can do cash in lieu, they can do land or cash.
Right.
Trying to think who the last one I'm sure was Bigelow.
At the golf course, right?
And I can't remember what this new one, I don't think they had what that newer part, it's something, and the development, it's a big development, so I can't remember all the specifics with it, because they brought a whole bunch of land in with that, so that would be something for Brian.
Minutes from last month, our proposal was to take the money from the Christ Lutheran expansion, so that 25,000 would potentially be in the budget.
I don't think you're gonna get
You
that
won't
money.
be getting that because they didn't plat their land for
Mhm.
future development. So because the ordinance, the way it's written, they don't have to give any money whatsoever.
If they plat it, they do.
Yes, if they plat it, they do, but at this point, they have
One
not
giant parcel.
platted it. Right.
So they found a loophole, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we protect ourselves in the future so we don't get caught with a loophole again?
Well, first of all, I don't necessarily, we didn't know. I mean, I don't deal with any of the development. That's not my thing. I think now we know that that's in. But I think the easiest way to remember this and to put it in our heads, if it's going to be residential. Industrial is going to be pretty darn easy because that's pretty structured as far as industrial, commercial, what they have to do. And they end up with wetland credits. They end up with this whole process they have to go through. Christ Lutheran's a little bit different animal because of how they brought it in and how they developed it. They didn't, like I said, one big parcel right now. A housing development's going to come in and they're going to plat it all out. They have to pay platting fees. They know the drill. It's all going to go through. So they won't get without that because that's by ordinance. The Christ Lutheran one is just a really odd animal from what I understand. So I don't think as far as residential expansion, like the Trusted Edition, when that came in, what they have instead of their parkland dedication is all the land under the electrical poles. That's all slated for trail. And that's their parkland dedication.
I think one way we could do it is go to the city council and say any sale of property that's going to go to a entity and not be platted, we would like a donation back to the park board at a certain amount.
And you can
There's
certainly
only-
ask that.
There's only so much city land, and if you're just gonna sell it all to the churches and big groups that aren't gonna plat it, the park is not gonna benefit from any of that. We're gonna just turn it into an industrial park, right? So I think that's something we need to take back to the council and just say, hey, we lost an opportunity for
Yep.
$25,000 worth of park and rec money.
Yep. Valid point.
The other thing that I was looking at is the camping fees really haven't increased since 2022.
Yep.
I thought with the additional camp areas that we have in there, wouldn't we be obtaining more? Like, there's way more campers down there this year than there have been in past years, especially.
Donnie
Seriously?
said it hasn't been full one weekend yet this year.
So then they're much further spread apart because the stuff that Larry cleared used to be woods last year. And now there's at least 6 campers back in there. I
I think-
walk that park almost every night and there's way more campers.
And that is one of the problems with the way we have the campground set up currently. We don't have a reservation system. We don't have designated spots. And I don't know how that all works. I'll probably be out of here before that happens, but come on, I'm not pulling in my giant old, big old camper if I don't know I have a spot.
Correct.
You know, we need a spot, and I think even tenting, I want to know I got a spot. I don't want to just be told to go, this is me personally. I don't want to just go over there. I want a spot. I want to know how close my neighbors are. Don't really want them too close. So I think that would,
Especially with the expansion that we've put across the other side of the trail and things like that, we've cleared a lot more land. There should be definitely more funds coming in.
I don't think it's marketed well, and I don't think when you don't have the designated spots with the little stick with the card, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, don't you kind of feel that way?
Yeah.
And I don't know how that all looks, and I think eventually we're gonna have to look to online reservations, because that's
Well,
the
other
way
thing
of the
too
world.
is, if you look at the proposed, expansion for that campground without any grant money at $170,000, if you were to divide that up by $17,000, that's over a 10-year return on investment. Like, that's a horrible investment for us.
And I don't think that 170 isn't including your water and sewer extensions.
That's what I'm saying, like,
Yep.
any ROI should be way less than 6 years.
Mhm.
That's gonna be double that to get any investment back out of that.
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of one of the, and the rental fees, I mean, because we looked at Lanesboro would be the closest. Now, Lanesboro has more biking trails, granted, but as far as just the amenities, not much different than we are. They're getting 50, something a night?
Yes, yeah.
But they have designated spots?
I think so, yeah.
I think
So,
they do too.
yeah. And that would be a little bit more, and that would kind of come with your expansion, I think, just to get this, the posts and the spots and and we have people call all the time about spots,
Yeah,
all the time.
not as much this year as we have in years past, though. It does just feel less.
COVID was
Some
a
people
huge
have-
camping
Some people
boom.
have Donnie's phone number, and he said he's hardly getting any phone calls this year either. Yeah, I don't know where everybody's going.
Well, and I think, how much are we marketed?
0.
Well, it's a park, not a campground, right?
Oh.
A campground is
There has
part
never
of an
been a
amenity.
campground there.
Right.
That's right.
It's never been a campground.
Well, I appreciate the explanation. This whole entire budget meeting could go 4 times longer than a normal park board meeting, and I've been asking for a little bit more insight on this, so I appreciate your time and helping
If you
explain some
want,
of that.
so if you want like additional or a specific breakdown, or if you want to see expenditures per month with what's expended from month to month and the expenditures, we can do that. All you have to do is let Miranda and I know, and we'll, it's, when you get to, if you go year to date, you're going to have a lot of paper or but if you do monthly, we can give you the individual expenses for each month. That's pretty simple for us.
I'm concerned about the special projects and the bills that are coming in, and we don't really know.
We can't do them informally. We have to be a little bit more formal with it. And I don't know, maybe we need to talk about what would be a comfortable procedure with doing it.
Mhm. That's why it's very important to pick a project or two, finish it, and then go on.
Because you guys got great projects. Anybody who comes in has a great project for you. They're all great. Who doesn't want to be
Right.
at the park doing awesome stuff?
My concern is the $10,000 per year in the transfer out that we're putting into the Kids Kingdom account, because if you look at the 226, and I appreciate the explanation on there about the restricted fund, is 228,000 of that, and 80,000 of that was earmarked for Kids Kingdom. So over the last 8 years, we've stuck money out there for Kids Kingdom, and we haven't used a substantial portion of it. So I think we're over saving for the Kids Kingdom.
And that's why I think if you have things you want to
Right.
change, and what will a Kids Kingdom, when that's done, I don't know what it will look like, or,
Right.
So to use that money, that is, like, say we wanted to take the money, some of that money out of there and just finish off the disc golf and the dugouts. Do we have to go to anybody and ask that, or can we just
You
say?
can make the motion within, you could say, Troy says, I make a motion that we take $4,200 and we, out of the park restricted fund to purchase or to finish or to whatever, and then you make and second the motion. And then we do it, and then we make sure that it's expended out of there. Probably what I would do is transfer it into the park operating budget and then do it that way,
Mhm.
so.
Okay, yeah. So that's not anything that we have to go to the council and get
No,
approval
no,
from them?
this is your, park boards are kind of an interesting animal. You have a little bit more leeway than a lot of the other funds. It's always been, there was one purchase many years ago before I started that was a substantial purchase that went through without council knowing about it, and that caused some concern within the councils for a long time, and even concern after I started. And so that was a while ago. I think it's always wise to kind of let them know if you're planning on doing a big purchase. And again, if you can explain why you want to do something, how you want to do something, they're not averse to helping you figure out a way to fund it.
Okay.
I mean, the parks, we have great parks. What other city has a park as large and beautiful as we do?
So we have to approve some sort of a budget here, folks. Comments?
Appreciate the explanation, less concerned.
It was amazing.
Knowing that the 226 is not locked and
Mhm.
still get at that. So it doesn't, that.
I think that my advice for you as a park board would be before you spend money out there, have a very boisterous and good discussion about how you want to spend it and be very clear about how you want to spend it.
Mhm. Okay. I think you're the only person I've ever heard that told us to have a boisterous.
I like that. I like discussion.
Yeah. it's
Respectful discussion is awesome.
Well, I appreciate the explanation again
Yeah.
for the amount of time, because to me, it just all is glorified check packing, just moving from one account to the next.
It kind of is. It's just, it's.
A lot of shell game.
It's, you know what, a lot of it is just pulling the money out that you don't want to spend to keep it out from being spent for something else. And that's what we do with, like, for our police cars and our equipment. It's like, I think our capital equipment for like the streets department, we've been behind for a long time. So now we're like pulling money and putting it in there and just like, you can only spend it out here. And then they have a schedule and it's like, if you go over here, then you can't spend this here, you know?
Mhm.
The park shelter fees were originally at 5,200, was that back when the park shelter was?
I think that was,
$100, because is that considering that you're going to do it 52 times, like once a week, you're gonna rent it
Not-
every weekend, is that how you got to the 5,200?
I usually take whatever we received the year before.
Yep.
Divide it by whatever the fee is, and then I know approximately what we're gonna do. And if we increase it, I will just do the formula to project how much that will increase
That's
it
what I
by.
was wondering,
Yep.
it should be going up in 24 since it went up, but it's the remodel in there with the sink and the countertop, and now that the bathroom is there, like, that's a huge, huge draw. I really think potentially we even leave money on the table at $125 there. That's a very nice spot.
So many people comment how affordable it is, even at 125.
The only other thing that I would suggest is like ceiling fans in there. It's a very warm area, even with the windows all cracked open. Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Additional, yeah.
It was pretty
Yeah.
stagnant, but it's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
And those fees, you said we can change in January if we so choose.
January is, the fees have to go, the council will want to review them, probably, if you set them by the end of December, that's really the best time. Council will review them if they never are gonna say no to what fees you guys to decide to accept, unless all of a sudden you say, you know what, we're gonna charge $400 for the park shelter.
Yeah,
They're gonna say, what's up with the?
you'll probably see the fee schedule at the November meeting.
Mhm.
That
Okay.
way, if you want something to come back, we still have December to do more with it.
I think that and the plat discussion would be some opportunities for us to make sure we don't.
I think we should have a work
Money.
session, probably upcoming. I think we'll be having work sessions with the different departments and the different boards, and that would be a good thing to put on a work session to discuss that with them. Or planning and zoning, I don't know who that would go to. Probably have to go to planning and zoning first, but we can figure that out, talk about it.
Does anybody have any other questions about the proposed budget? Strong feelings? Then I would make a motion to approve the proposed 2024 budget as laid out by Kim.
Second?
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have an update from the pool manager?
No, nothing official, but everything went well. I think Mike's still working on a couple things, closing everything up. We're one of the latest open area pools, and we still, I think we still could have been open a little bit longer, but she must not have been able to get anybody to work, but that's all right. Yeah, it was a good season. She said it was a good, really good season. We had good guards this year.
You're not being able to open next year.
Well, that's all I was just gonna suggest is that we discuss this next month and start drawing a hard line in the sand. Because we've talked about that with Fred and other people who are very passionate about moving forward with this before the pool remodel becomes a $10 million thing just to replace what we've got. Had we started 8 years ago, the thing that we're trying to propose this year would have been a $3 million pool, not an $8 million pool. So,
Well, next year is an election year.
and we are on borrowed time.
And I don't-
Warbox said that thing's not gonna last.
We have 3 elections, March, August, September. I don't know what can be on what ballot.
Right.
I don't know if anything special can be right away in March, or if that one is just for what it is. I'm not sure.
So how do we find that out?
Go through Brian.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I'm kind of the election person, but I would rather him dabble in that topic.
That always gets to be a very sensitive issue, what we're bonding for and what we're gonna
Yeah,
fundraise and
that's above my pay grade.
back and forth, and 10 years later, we're still talking about it.
Right.
Campground.
Shower house discussion, have we covered that?
Well, next to you on top of that folder there's kind of a cheat sheet that was left for Fred.
Okay.
I don't know if that's on there. A lot of this stuff, because the other guys couldn't be here tonight. Yeah, that sheet that you had in your hand.
Okay.
If nothing is on there, then I don't have anything to add.
Sign Switchback Trail and Roxanne Barch. So there's nothing more to add.
No, if you guys want to wait, I mean, it's not like it's going to happen tomorrow anyway, so
Okay.
we can table it if you'd like.
I know they had talked about, and it's even down in the new business of just demolishing that, not even using that building.
Nope, that's the park bathroom. This is the shower house, the campground shower house.
Oh.
Yeah.
So now they don't want the one down by the skate park anymore, or down by the?
Not
Goggle ball?
necessarily. I think I had overheard there was thoughts of, do we want to demolish it? Do we want to gut it and turn it into just a overhead shelter? Yep. I have only heard that information in passing though, nothing that I've really been a part of, so I'm not 100% sure.
Who's coming up with that idea?
I'm not sure if it was Fred and Brian and Mike or who was tossing the idea around of that.
We can talk about
That next month then.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, new business. Park Road closure request from the Covered Bridge Festival.
We did that last year too, just to keep
Yep.
it safe. The vendors go up and park right on there, and I think that's a great idea.
Mhm.
And I was under the understanding, so this was talked about at the council meeting. Somebody said they wanted to request that the park be closed. Because I know they have volleyball tournaments, basketball tournaments, pickleball tournaments, but I don't know, I mean, I guess if somebody's on the courts, we can just tell them, hey, we have I don't know how you officially close a park. So,
If
I guess
people are
you're-
playing disc golf, they're gonna know not to throw the
right.
thing into people's heads. I mean, that's kind of the rules they go by.
Yeah, so
That's what you're doing wrong.
So if anybody says anything about, no, it's more than just the road.
That's how I felt about that.
Do we need to have a motion to close it?
Yes.
Okay. Is motion to close the park road during the Covered Bridge Festival?
I'll make that one.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Covered. Approved. And then here's the demolition of the old Covered Bridge Park House. Let's table that till next week, month.
And then
We move to the Pioneer Trail Task Force Committee by Roxanne, and I have a thing here I'll read.
Do you? Okay, because I was told if she was here, we would talk about it. If not, we can move forward, but maybe she sent something to Brian.
Oh, yeah, she said she would be here, and then she's looking for someone to take over for her, as she will be spending more time up north.
But nobody really knows what she does on that board, so we're gonna kind of leave that up to her to explain that. I think she's looking, I don't think she's necessarily looking for one of you guys to take it over, but maybe,
someone in general.
yeah.
Nominate Fred Rash, all in favor?
On that one,
Opposed?
I'll say yes.
Fred Rash.
I believe he voted me in for something, and I could come.
I believe what you're doing right now, yes.
And then Combined Charities. I was approached by Dick Whitaker. Combined Charities, does everybody know what that is? It's the form that comes, and years ago it was designed to prevent this organization from reaching out to the people in town, and this organization looking for money. And so what it is, Combined Charity is an overhead group that has a list of organizations that is approved. It goes out to all of the people in town. If they want to approve, it comes into the Combined Charities, and then Combined Charities sends that money that was donated out. So the people who are sending in the checks are contributing under a 401(c), so it's a true tax deduction. So they approached me and said, can we put the park board on Combined Charities to receive donations? And so I talked to Kim and to Brian, and the answer is yes, as long as it comes in as a specific entity that it's being donated to. So I told Dick to put the dugouts on, the park board dugouts, just because I knew we had money, we needed money there. And so that's what they're doing this year for the park board. And then in the years to come, if we want to stay with that, or if we want to earmark something different, we can ask them to do that for us.
That has no negative, like if the Lions or the VFW or anybody else, like that doesn't take away from any of that.
That are running the Combined Charity, because the board, the Combined Charity board all retired, and there was no one to do it, so the Lions took it on. And that's how we're getting in under.
So what is all under the umbrella of that?
Oh, God.
I guess I've never heard of it before.
So we just met.
Like that's separate from the community trust,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, there's 18 different organizations on there, and this year we decided to make the focus organizations helping Zumbrota. So, and it'll come out in the mailing.
That's
So,
amazing.
but that's what they're doing for us on the park board.
So with the dugout thing, just an update on that. We did purchase the materials, but we purchased them prematurely because Brian was trying to get the approval for the building permit, and that has not been approved per the drawings and sketches that were submitted. So now it's in this continuous loophole, and now we've gotten to the point where we've kind of lost our volunteer crew that is ready to start assembling it. So my suggestion, and I know this would be unfavorable to both Mike and Brian, would be to return as many of the materials as we could and put a pin in that, because I would still like to go after the same grant money we've been trying to go after the last 2 years, but it's been empty. And then I missed the deadline the year prior, was the
Yep.
Minnesota Twins organization does a grant match to the fund. So if we come up with $10,000, they potentially would match that, and we could have a really nice, but it could only go towards safety items such as dugouts, fencing, and like infield kind of thing. So maybe hopefully some new ag lime that is about,
Sure.
$1,000 worth of ag lime every year that we should be putting out there. It can't go towards lightings or bleachers or scoreboards, but we could put in safety fencing for bullpen pitching things. We could finish off the dugouts, like we could do a lot more than just a roof over the top of
Right.
something.
And to that point, the stuff that we have, we don't even know if we can really use it with the plans that get approved.
Well, that's exactly, like, he always thought that the sketches we put in were underdone. They weren't strong enough, so they wanted to beef it up and go more lumber, and we've already got the lumber that was on the sketch to begin with. So if we can return any of that, it's not specialty item before it gets too late, that'd be my proposal, would be to return the items back, get store credit.
Okay, so let's make that a motion that we return.
Okay.
And then, so we make that motion and I'll ask for a second.
Yep, I will make a motion to return any or all of the materials that are already pre-purchased for the dugouts until we can get approved building plans.
I'll second.
Very polite.
You're good. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else?
I think someone should call Fred and tell him we're done already. He may have just lost his job.
He may have just lost his job.
That's fine, because he's
And we
done
went through
January
45
1.
minutes worth of budget.
Yeah, we did. So you're from city council, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm Mary Gofflin. Is there anything from the city council that we need to know about?
Right now, it's just, it's all about the budget approval
Okay.
right now, and then we'll be looking at the pool expenditures once we kind of have a flow
Okay.
going forward, so.
Okay. And what you can take back to them is that we're going to be talking to Brian and find out which election we can use next year. So we'll need to have something firm for the election. Because we can't afford to wait anymore. If this pool is truly a priority for Zimbrota, and from the park board it is, we can't afford to wait, because every year we wait, it's another $1 million thereabouts.
Entertaining motion to adjourn.
Yes, I am.
I'll make said motion to adjourn.
Second,
I will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Good job, Mary.
I like how you had like the side eye going there.